Hi, I'm Hutton, a casting producer, entrepreneur, and a mom of two. My life is a mix of building businesses, raising little humans, and figuring it out as I go. This podcast is where we talk about the real side of that: business, healing, motherhood, and becoming the woman that you are meant to be. This is Her Soft Power. Hey guys, welcome back to Her Soft Power, the podcast. I'm your host, Hutton, and it's Wednesday while I'm recording this right now. I usually post episodes on Saturdays, and I'm kind of doing everything in real time right now. Originally, I had batched everything, and so I was like way ahead of schedule. And then our family got like back to back sick, and so I've definitely fallen behind. But I don't know if anybody even watched last week's episode. I haven't really checked the numbers yet. But it was fun to record. It felt more natural, just like, I don't know, me talking to you guys one on one. It was a little bit different in the past. Like I've had a different setup. I'm staring at my screen, trying to make sure like my headphones and my mic and everything is like working. And so I hope that you guys are kind of enjoying this better. If you're not watching this like on video, if you're just listening to the audio, I've just kind of changed my setup. And so it just feels a little more natural. And I feel like each week I'm just like playing with whatever it is, editing, recording, space, like positioning things. I don't have it all set up perfect yet. I'm just kind of going with the flow and like getting used to doing this because I think it does take time before it becomes natural. And talking to a camera is really unnatural, obviously. And I think I got really comfortable doing this when I was in network marketing. I was like sharing about, what I was promoting all the time on camera, and that became really easy. But then I stopped doing that. And so it kind of, I don't know, it's like something that you can pick up easily, but also you can lose it if you're not practicing. So that's sort of where I feel like I'm like, okay, I'm getting back on the bike and like starting to like pedal faster again, if that makes sense. Instead of like before, I felt like I was like trying on my training wheels again. So yeah, that's my little metaphor. But anyway, I actually wanted to sit down and talk about like systems and infrastructure today because I feel like that's sort of where my life is like headed in my work wise and all of that. And actually even just passionately, like I feel like that's what sort of drives me is like systems operations. And for a long time, I feel like I was trying to like pull myself away from that and find creativity in different things. And so that's been interesting to find that like, okay, actually go back to your roots and what you're good at is the thing that most people don't want to do. So actually it's not the end of the world. I'm finding that people really need service-based skills now, people need you to do things for them. Obviously AI is out here. It's taking over tons of jobs. The industry is changing. And I actually posted like something yesterday, just talking on my story about how like, we've been considering, other states if we were to move. We live in California. My husband and I, we own a house here and we have a really beautiful house. We locked in at a 3% interest rate, which was like unheard of, obviously. We bought right before all the surges in 2021. So it was very, very competitive, obviously. Like we fell in love with like 7 houses before we actually got the house. And we were about to give up on bidding for houses because it's like heartbreaking, obviously. When you like picture your life somewhere and then you don't get it. So we were very, very lucky and fortunate to come by this house. And since we've been here, I feel like it's been like a God thing. Like every month, it's just kind of like somehow we figure it out. We make it work. Like we have enough. We always have enough and then some. But it is hard to feel so stretched thin. And so I have been like stressed and thinking and seeing other people post online too, like where, they live. A lot of people are becoming real estate agents, I'm noticing. And so I'm seeing like beautiful properties online. And obviously it piques interest because you're like, oh, okay, is life really better there? And I think a lot of it is the like highlight reels and the influencer culture that we're seeing. And so I have to like reel it back in and remind myself. But what came from that was like I shared about that and people started messaging me. It brought in like an influx of messages, which I was honestly, like I shared today, I was just kind of surprised at the outpouring messages I got. But it feels like a lot of people are also experiencing this hopelessness feeling where like you can't get ahead. We're all kind of living paycheck to paycheck, especially if you're in California or neighboring states. And so it feels like it's appealing to go to these other states that are maybe not as populated, not as expensive, don't have as much income tax, things like that. But again, then, there's also other things that you're going to have to deal with as far as like natural disasters, there's hurricanes, whereas we only have earthquakes here. And, as far as politics for us, like I'm pretty liberal, my husband's pretty conservative, so we kind of like fall in the middle somewhere. So I mean, we'd be open to being somewhere else if it was pretty divided evenly. But again, a lot of these states are very dominant in one or the other. And so you have to be very careful. I think that we're in a very safe place for our belief systems. He's very much, conservative, wants to go to church every weekend. And for a long time, I did feel that way too. I was doing a lot of that, and I found a great community in my church, and it served an amazing purpose during the time, especially because my husband and I were going through some marital struggles, and I found the right support that I needed during that. Now, a lot of us have moved on. It was like busy moms, we've all kind of separated. Some of them have smaller groups now. Some of us are just doing other things. And realistically, like politically, with everything that's come out in the last few years, I feel this divide between, church, state, all of the nonsense. So it is a little bit tough for me right now. And I just kind of want to separate myself a little bit and stand my ground. But and so that's been hard also to come on here and talk about, because I felt very invested in the group and the community that I have and have built. But at the end of the day, I know that these people are wonderful women and they're my friends. Whether I continue to go or not, I still go every weekend with my husband because it's good for our kids too. It puts like it instills values in them that they wouldn't have otherwise. And growing up as a kid, I didn't have any of that. So I do like to like instill some of that. I am struggling, obviously, spiritually with all of this. But going back to what my whole point was, that just like obviously a lot of people are feeling this hopelessness, and you're not alone if you feel similar too. And I think our economy is really, it's tough. I wouldn't say it's tanking. Obviously, there are people who are doing really, really well right now, and there are people who are struggling. And I think for some people, we do a mixture. Like, and that's me. Like, some weeks, some months, I'm doing really, really well. And some months, I'm like, when is it coming? Like, is it going to get better? And so, anyways, I expressed my interest of just maybe wanting to move to another state. We talked about Tennessee, Florida. In the past, when we were really interested in Tennessee, we obviously didn't make any moves. We didn't make a leap. And like a couple years have gone by, and now I'm seeing all this stuff about like how amazing Florida looks. So I'm like, maybe I should be there. But again, it's just this like, I think this overall picture that we're seeing online. And we have to remember, like, some of the things that people did bring up was the heat, the humidity in Florida. Obviously, politics was brought up a lot. In Tennessee, one of the things that was brought up was a lot of bugs. So people move there and don't even realize how much bugs. And we are California people, we like to be outside. So, yeah, I don't know, just like sharing this in case somebody else is feeling like, what should I do? Should I stay? Should I stick it out? We really don't know. Still, we're gonna stick it out, obviously, a little more. Like what I do. I work in obviously casting. And so my career in casting originally started out recruiting and all of that, but it sort of led into like this coordinating situation where I really am just on a back end of it all, organizing, doing systems and operations. So I sort of found that that was like the main thing in all my businesses that I'm really, really good at. And so, in my free time, I'm trying to button up those systems of my own, but also help others, because a lot of people don't even know how to start. And so building something for yourself you may not have capacity for, you may not have interest, whatever it is, it may take away from your creativity. So I found that there is a need for services like this out there, and that, I can be a person who can do that. And that also allows me a little bit more freedom, flexibility, and that way I can continue to do what I want to do, which is obviously empower other women to do what they want to do. But you have to feel and be in a place to share, obviously, if that's what you're sharing, empowerment, right? And so I think a lot of women struggle with this too, because you don't feel fully ready. And the thing is, I guess obviously you just have to start and get out there and start doing it. So that's sort of what I've been doing. I've been putting myself out there. And aside from like this podcast or whatever, obviously I'm reaching out in Facebook groups. I'm seeing if like anybody needs web design, if anybody needs email services, monthly retainer services, graphic design, social media, whatever it is. Like, there are things that we all kind of are good at. We just have to kind of figure that out and figure out what you actually like doing. Because you'll have to do it for not only yourself and your businesses, but for now somebody else, right? And so I want to give like a little rundown background on my history with all of this nonsense back system stuff that people don't really care about, but maybe hearing my story, my journey will interest you. So, anyways, my first introduction into websites, actually, I was a kid. So, my dad was a graphic designer. And he was like really ahead of his time, honestly. He was building me and my brother like our own personal brand and websites before that was a thing. So, like, we were just kids and we didn't need that. So, obviously, those never really went anywhere, but it was fun and it taught me a lot about branding before it was a thing. And so now looking back, I can see that he instilled a lot of this in me. And even before he passed away, I was in college taking courses for this. So I was doing web design, I was doing graphic design, I was doing video editing. We made video games, we made 360 videos. Like we did a lot. So I'm pretty like well versed when it comes to media and editing and things like that. So, my dad, I would call him though he lived in Las Vegas and I lived here in California. And he would just walk me through everything on Photoshop. This is before Canva obviously was really popular. So it's fun to look back and think like, wow, he was a big part of my journey. But built my first website in college and it was just like a personal website, like a random portfolio on Weebly. It's probably searchable still, honestly. You can probably find it and see my first work. But that was like my introduction into websites. And then when I graduated school, I was always kind of building things. I think Canva became popular, got into like more graphic designing and stuff. And then I was obviously working in production already. Like right after college, I got into production. And so there were long days on set where like I'm not on the computer. And then I started working my way into casting where I needed my computer on set. And so, throughout the day, I'm building grids, I'm building systems, I'm taking pictures of people's wardrobe, like building continuity sheets, things like that. So, like, I got very coordinated. I got good at coordinating. And then when my job ended, I was like, I have, like I said, this was a good season. I had a good amount of money. And I'm like, okay, what's next? What am I going to do in the off season? I don't want to be bored. I want to create work, which I shouldn't have done. But that was pre baby me thinking that I had so much to do still. I had so much passion and I'm so young. So looking back now, I would have rested and I would have saved all that money. No, I wouldn't have because honestly, I wouldn't have learned all the things that I learned through having these businesses. But that's when I decided to start my first business, which was Hutton Nicole. And I originally, like I said, I ordered all kinds of clothes online. It was an in-person shopping experience, but I tracked all of my inventory online and I did everything through a website. And I did all of my own content branding, created tote bags and hats. And like that was my first experience with branding. That was like such a passion project of mine, but I went all in on it and I spent a ton of money. So I think when I rebranded and I did Shop Irie Girl, I wanted to cut my costs and keep things to a minimal, but while still being professional. And so I really honed in on that. And that's when, I migrated my website. So Hutton Nicole was on Wix. I became really good at that. And I even learned about drop shipping through Wix and I started importing and, doing all the things in there. But I found that there were limited capabilities for e-commerce. And that's what I was trying to move that business into. So when it came to e-commerce, I was hearing about Shopify everywhere. And I was like, apparently, if you're not on Shopify, you're just not going to get sales because my sales just started plummeting, especially with COVID and this is kind of post COVID, but with not doing as many pop ups too, because I had little babies at home. And so moving into that next season with Shop Irie Girl, I was like, okay, like I said, I want to teach myself to do this in a cost efficient way. So I still run my Shop Irie Girl site on Shopify. It's kind of like a back end passive income thing, but it does cost me to run it. Obviously, the more work I put into it, the more things could add up. But I basically keep it down to a minimal website cost, email marketing, and that's it. And what else? Merch, I don't really invest in right now. I'm keeping it very minimal, getting rid of what I have with Hunt and Nicole. When I do a pop up sale I call it for Shop Irie Girl, but I'm bringing my stuff from Hunt and Nicole. I'm getting rid of it. I'm sharing my website with you guys. and just meeting people, because really it's about you. It's not about what you sell. So that's sort of that. Let's see. I got into, network marketing. Okay. So then I had to sort of figure out, how do I fit network marketing with fashion, which to me, they didn't go together. And so I built separate websites, obviously. So I may have done this earlier on, honestly. I think I turned my personal website, and it was probably like Hutton Nicole, because that's the brand name. I turned it into a personal brand. And then I changed Shop Irie Girl to Shopify, and I kept Hutton Nicole on Wix, and I moved to Shopify with Shop Irie Girl. So anyways, two different platforms I was using. I had multiple costs, and I was running up the costs, but also I kept my Hutton Nicole at like a minimum of $5.99 a month. So it really wasn't costing me much to run a personal brand. And then like my domain, I think it's like $15 a year. So your domain is pretty affordable normally. It depends on obviously how hard the name is to get. Like Her Soft Power Pod, or like Her Soft Power, if I want that, it's going to cost me a lot. So I have held off right now. Obviously, anybody hearing this can go and purchase it. And if you do, like, good for you. I don't know what more power to you, but I think that it's perfectly fine. And I'm going to keep everything under Hutton Salvatore, because that's me, that's my brand, and that's kind of all my umbrellas will fall under. So I've learned a lot about, branding and umbrellas and all the subcultures of brands through obviously building. Basically, Hutton Nicole was, like I said, a personal branded website at this point, and then I had Shopify. And so I started adding things for network marketing onto my personal, and my personal was a blog, and it would direct traffic to my business. So there's a lot of strategy that can go into it, and backlinking really helps your websites. The more that one website is clicking to your website, you're going to rank higher on Google and stuff. So there's a lot that we can do with it, obviously. And then, there was obviously like the link in bio got really popular. I've tried different sites like that. I've done the stand stores, but at the end of the day, most of these cost you, and they're not always giving you exactly what you need, because you have to integrate like API tokens and stuff, so that you can, connect your email marketing platform to your website, or um, your booking Calendly to your website. All of these things like book together. I started obviously researching other systems. And so now I work off of a Go High Level platform. It's called ivory.io. So if that's something that you guys are looking for, I think I have a link with a discount, so I can provide that in the show notes probably, or DM me and I'll send it to you. But if you're still messing with so many different platforms and all these like integrations, um, hi, I'm your girl if you need any help. No, I'm just kidding. You can do a lot of this yourself, which is why I want to talk about this, obviously. Ivory.io has everything inside of it. You can do invoices, payments, you can set up your schedule in there, you can do your email marketing in there, you can build your templates, you can do workflows, you can do sales funnels, you can do different landing pages. Any possible thing that you can think of is inside this one platform. And I found it's $99 a month. I mean, there's nothing better out there, because I think with the perks and everything that I would be looking for on these websites, you either spend that much, and also community, courses, all of that built in there. Sorry, because yeah, I did stand so that I could have courses and all that. And then I found that I was capped at the capabilities, and you'd have to go up to $99 a month anyway, but it doesn't offer everything I need. If that's you and you're spending money in different directions and you're like, and where's the capital coming in? Check your subscriptions and see where the money's going out first, and see how you can minimize and break it down, and maybe simplify your process. Also, the templates that are built into Ivory, like, wow, they're incredible. And this isn't like an affiliate post or something like that. I mean, like a sponsored episode or anything like that. They have no idea, obviously, that I'm even talking about them. But I love the system, the AI bot or whatever that helps if you need something. Like, it's very clear, concise. It gives me directions. Like, I have not had any issues basically with it. So it's definitely my favorite if you are a bigger I'd say like creator, or somebody who has a bigger business who needs more infrastructure and like everything built in one, and less income costs, all of that, outgoing costs, I mean, then I highly recommend taking a peek at this. If you are not at that level, if you are just starting out, you've never had a website, any of that stuff, DM me and let's chat, because I will probably suggest something that is more affordable, more what you need at your level. Um, And yeah, again, I feel like I've tried them all. Like I've done, I don't know, I think I've mentioned a few, but yeah, Wix, Weebly, Shopify, and then when it goes into e-commerce too, you have other importers, and then you have suppliers. So I've dealt with tons of those, which is a whole nother world. When we're talking e-commerce, like Wix has tons of importers. You can use like Modalist, Importify. I forget some of them because I haven't used it in a long time. And then those connect you to sites like AliExpress, Alibaba, CJ, drop shipping, all of these suppliers and bigger chains. So yeah, I hope that explains it. But nowadays my supplier, I use Trendsy. I love Trendsy. They're the best. And I don't think we need the connector site or whatever, the importer site. I think Shopify is straight to Trendsy. So that's the nicest thing I've found. I love it. I love the products. They've been higher quality. They've been more in my target audience market, like what they're looking for. And so yeah, I find that Trendsy has really great stuff. AliExpress has been great, but it's really cheap. And you really have to test the products before you're sending them out. So I could do a whole nother episode if you guys are interested in stuff like this on drop shipping or that kind of area so that we could actually even dive into that more. Um, yeah, it's I've got a little bit more work I've got to get done today. So I'm gonna probably cut this one here. But I really actually enjoyed talking about this. This was really easy for me to talk about because I'm like, this is what I love and do every day. So I hope that this helps somebody. If it doesn't help you, sorry for the total confusion. But yeah, if you need help with any service like this or you just have a question, I am an open book. I will never charge you just to ask me a question. So, and my biggest issue is I undercharge for everything. So, like, get in now while I'm still undercharging, and eventually I will, start saying, "Hey, I know my worth is a little higher." So, and it depends on the type of work, obviously. Like when it comes to casting, I know my worth. I know what my rate is. When it comes to, building websites for people, I'm just getting started. And so I am putting feelers out there. I built a website for a friend of mine's sourdough business. And I mean, I shared about it the other day, but they reached return on investment within the first week of opening their site. They paid for basically my service. So that and then some. So like, wow. Like, I don't know. I just feel like if you have the right people in your corner who also aren't going to rip you off, you can also get farther too. So that's why I'm not about ripping people off. I know that I've spent like thousands of dollars on things like SEO that didn't perform or do anything for my website. I've spent so many things in the past just trying to learn and become the best. And so at this point, I think I am a wealth of knowledge in media and things like that. And so I just want to help people. And I don't know. I guess that's where I'm finding softness right now is helping others in what I am good at and not forcing it in things that I'm still learning about. I think that's what network marketing kind of did for me. I felt like I was still learning how to get good at taking care of myself and becoming better at wellness while trying to like preach others to do that. I'm finding that my softness is really just honing in on these skills. And so, yeah, I don't know. I hope this was a good episode for you guys. It felt good for me to just talk about. So if there's anything that struck home or like, I don't know, you were like, oh my God, I can't wait to try this trick or whatever, just share it on your story or maybe it'll help a friend who's trying to build a website and doesn't know anything. I hope that you guys have a great week. And live in your softness, guys, because there's so much joy to be found in the smaller moments of your day. Not everything is big. Sometimes it's the small things. All right, you guys have a good week. I'll see you next week.